I usually call myself the kid's favorite auntie because I have a whole gang of nieces and nephews. Some are blood, some are not, but those are my kids. And I think that is what inspired the business itself. And the actual business was embedded in my heart since I was 21. And it was only last year, February, that I actually launched it. And it is a kids brand, which to begin with, it was meant to cater to little girls from the ages of 2 to 10. But once I actually got into the market, then I realized that there is more of a demand in terms of the age group as well as getting something for the boys as well, right? So that is what I'm trying to work on right now. But prestigious kids is when you think of kids that come from the runway, these bougie Instagram kids, that is the big idea. But the biggest thing for me is that kids must always be comfortable. I don't want kids, that look good, but like they cannot like play around and so forth. So um, quality is something that I pay a lot of attention to, the pricing as well. And kids must look good, but they need to be very, very comfortable and still remain as kids. So that is what prestigious kids is about. Great. So I was actually saying that I'd like to give kudos to the ladies that just spoke right now. Mpumi is so excited about her business. Woo! It is amazing. So the actual birth of the concept, like I said earlier on, was about 9 years ago when I was in varsity. But I couldn't really branch into that right at the time. The focus was more just going to corporate, get an internship and just work your way. And then at some point in life, you will find yourself birthing this brand. So we launched last year in February. That was actually the first time that I introduced it online. And I must say it's been quite a grueling process in terms of, first of all, when you are in the like clothing industry, seasons are very, very important, right? So if you miss either the winter season or the summer season, you have to almost like rework your entire range. So with COVID, it made it very, very difficult for me to actually find a factory that could actually make the clothes, because one thing that I wanted to do and I wasn't willing to negotiate is that my clothes will be made from scratch. I don't want to source something from China and then I kind of like re um, modify it. So my thing was always that I want to make items that come from my own ideas, and I just need somebody who is actually going to execute. Finding that person was already just the longest process ever, and COVID just made everything worse because when you find somebody and then they tell you that their factory is currently closed, and when they do open, they already have accounts with other people, so they have to prioritize other people first. Then only they will actually consider making your stuff. And because I found somebody that I genuinely looked up to and somebody that I trusted, I was willing to wait. But what that meant is that then I totally missed the spring and summer seasons. My choice only came out in February, and as you all know, that during that time, most retail outlets are now trying to actually enter into autumn, winter. So I think that was a challenge in itself because then I had to literally do like push marketing. So I had to be in. people's faces, to say, hey, listen, this is my brand. So I sent everything through WhatsApp. I even got a distributor that is in Cape Town, because I was just trying to get these clothes off of my hands. So that was challenging. That was so challenging. And I won't even get started with the cost implications of making the clothes. It was quite hard, but the journey, to say the least, has been it's been beautiful. It is only the beginning, and I am excited. Like I mentioned before, that COVID really just put a spanner in the works in terms of many businesses that had to actually shut down. And because of that, obviously, because I'm not the one that is actually like making the stuff myself, it means that I have to wait for somebody else to actually give me my own product. So I missed a couple of seasons because of that, and that just made everything difficult, because the expenses don't stop, eh? Just because the business is stopping doesn't mean that the expenses are not piling up. So I had to do a lot of navigation through all of those issues. And I think one thing that was actually major for me as well is that I think when you have an online store, right? And by online, I'm not even referring to an actual website. I mean, selling through your Instagrams, your Twitters, your Facebook. I think the biggest challenge that I had to navigate is that you think that because you don't have a huge following, it is actually going to be very, very hard to actually try to advertise your stuff. So what I had to do basically was to apply for this other scholarship that was offered by AYE. It's quite a big establishment, and they give you like mentors. So I went into those classes for 4 weeks, and through that I met so many people, and then we formed a WhatsApp group with over like 1,000 ladies. So everybody basically put their information in there. And I think what my biggest takeaway from that was that you can have a challenge. So my challenge at the time was, I don't have a huge following. I don't know if I'm actually going to get customers, but word of mouth referral is a real thing. I mean, after Monzo purchased her stuff from me, I got a phone call there from a lady who was also in the Northern Cape. And at first, I couldn't exactly join the dots, because I just couldn't understand, okay, where do you know me from? So I just put two and two together, and it just showed that even if you do not have a huge following, it is still actually possible to penetrate the market and to also just get referrals through word of mouth. Because once one person posts something on their WhatsApp, you already have exposure to probably like hundreds of people that you don't even know. So I think that alone was a challenge for like a couple of weeks, but I almost managed to navigate that, even though I don't necessarily think that I am at the point where I want to be, but at some point I will, because right now obviously things are still on hold. But once we get back up, I think the strategy is already there. It is just about implementing it, and implementing it in a better way, and also trying to find other ways and means of actually selling, because I think I learned so many things within a time span of like a month that I didn't know about, because I always believe that everything is part of everything. Right? So you can have a conversation with somebody who isn't even in the same space as you, but they can give you little nuggets that you can actually use and just repurpose for like where you are. So COVID, the backlog, the money, and the advertising, those were the challenges for me. So yeah, thank you. One thing that I learned from my own mentor is, changing one person's life is actually easier than trying to change 10 people, right? But if you can change a lot of lives, then great, but if you can't, that is also fine. I think what we sometimes lack as people is that once you are in a position of power, sometimes you forget where you come from and how you actually got to where you are. So the company that I used to work for, they had um, they had this thing called sponsorships, right? So basically, you would find a leader at the top level that basically kind of like chooses either like an intern or somebody that is like at the entry level of the company, and then they would sponsor them. And by sponsor them, I mean, if I go to them and say to them, listen, as my sponsor, I feel like this course that I saw online could actually like assist me. Can you please look into your budget to be able to sponsor that course for me to actually go, right? And then they would do that for you, depending on if they see the actual like value in it. Now, the way that I sometimes look at things, I don't like the whole gender placement of, just because you are a woman, you should be getting this, or just because that you are a man. I always base things on merit, right? So if you know, as Christine, that what I do, I'm good at, and I've invested the time, I've learned the skill. I know I'm good at what I do. I know it for a fact. It's not hard for you to then approach somebody else and say, listen, I need your help. So I feel like in order for change really to really come through, you also need to do your own bit, right? Because we cannot always expect to be assisted. I think to some level we also need to be able to like prove and say, listen, here is my seed, and it's a good seed. I just need you to assist me with planting the seed of mine and making it into like whatever, a plant, a fruit. So I think the change that I personally would like to see is people with knowledge, people who can help, people who can open the doors, to not be selfish with knowledge. If you are not, so Fefe seems like, she has a bit of experience in her own industry, right? So if somebody like that, or even Bumi, who is now teaching other people how to do what she is actually doing, she is already creating the change. You are giving somebody that seed to say, listen, use this and let us try to just build you into something together. But they also need to meet you halfway. So if you want the change, you need to also commit to bringing something valuable to the table. You cannot expect to sit at a table that already has the chair, the table, the crockery, the cutlery, the food. No. Unfortunately, in an ideal world, that is what we want. We want to be on a yacht in Dubai wearing those things, but sometimes life requires you to just, do the work, get dirty first, so that when you approach the person that can do your own change, that can literally be a stepping stone in your own career, in your own business. You also are giving them something to work with. So I'm not sure if I actually like answered that question, but that's just my thinking around the whole idea of the change that we want to actually see as women. So stop considering yourself as you need to be more at a point of privilege because you are a woman. No, you are a person. So you as a person, do your part. Once you've done your part, somebody else will actually notice it and be your Umi or be your Fefe or be your Monzo to assist you.